Like, if you are a Dallas Cowboys fan, like, this might be a blessing in disguise, because now we're talking about someone who we're talking about a team that just went from potentially going to the Super Bowl last season, and we just couldn't get it done against Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, so I just realized that there was no video like at all this whole time, and that's okay because I'm new to this. So I've been talking over my video overview this entire time. So we're looking at the schedule here for the Dallas Cowboys, and look, yeah, just real quick on a franchise discussion for the Cowboys. This is a blessing in disguise. Just go ahead and just tank it. Okay, this is proof that you should have let Zeke walk. Okay. I understand the Dak Prescott contract that probably needed to happen. I think the best free agent at that time when we gave him the extension was like Phillip Rivers, okay, who was basically a foot out the door. So, yeah, a blessing in disguise. Time to tank. So, in terms of the offense for the Dallas Cowboys, in terms of fantasy, in terms of the reason you're here, at home against Cincinnati next week. New York Giants, Washington Commanders, Los Angeles Rams, Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions, and then Chicago Bears. This is the time frame right here, the Chicago Bears. You can't see my cursor, although you're supposed to. The Chicago Bears, this is around the time frame he's supposed to be returning to football activity. And if he doesn't make him back in time, I think they'll just make him sit out that bye and then come back to play in Green Bay for week 9. So let's take a look at game script right now. Cincinnati Bengals had a rough game yesterday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defense didn't look too bad, but that offense was certainly struggling. That offensive line, again, letting Joe Burrow down. Joe Burrow not also looking like himself either, looking like a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I expect them to clean it up, okay? So we got a Cooper Rush versus Joe Burrow matchup next week. I don't think that game script, I don't think that game plan bodes well for Ezekiel Elliott, especially without Dak Prescott. Is he going to get the volume? Sure. But, like, if I know that, I'm just a Joe Blow guy talking into a camera and a screen. If I can predict that, the Cincinnati Bengals defensive staff are likely going to be able to predict that as well. So what do you think they're going to do when Zeke trots out onto the huddle and onto the field? Damn well they're going to make Cooper Rush beat them, not Zeke, not Lamb, okay? The Cincinnati Bengals are going to be heavily, just like everyone else, they're going to be heavily stuffing the box with defenders and forcing Cooper Rush to make a play. Okay, so yes, volume is king. Zeke's going to get the ball, but at what cost, you guys? He's going to be going up against 7, 8 people, 9 people in the box. So, my thing moving forward with this Dallas offense is you should probably be buying in on Tony Pollard. If you weren't on him in the offseason, you probably should be in on him now. And now that you can finally see my screen, I had a bonehead mistake that none of you all could see it for the past, 20 minutes. Seth still brought in a great question, and I just didn't get notified that I wasn't even showing everything here. Y'all were staring at my intro for about 20 minutes. So again, this 33.5 pass attempts for Russell Wilson tonight on Monday Night Football Showdown. We're taking that over, okay? And I'm going to show you the notes on why again, since y'all are just now seeing this. Seattle allowed the second most passing yards in 2021, averaging around 289.5 yards per game. Yes, per game. Almost 300 yards per game last season. Seattle overall allowed the most yards after the catch last season, too. Okay, so this looks good for KJ Hamler. This looks good for Jerry Jeudy. For those guys that are like dynamic, who can run after the catch. Cortland Sutton, big-bodied guy. And if he can get some separation, that could be good for him too. And it definitely helps when you go from catching passes from Drew Lock to potentially future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson. So that's why we're taking the 25.5 passing yards to go higher for Russell Wilson. Same thing for his rushing prop here at 14.5 yards. Definitely taking that. We've seen what Russell Wilson can do with the ball in his hands. Last year, in terms of rushing, Russell Wilson, I think, only hit this threshold maybe 2 to 3 times. But 2 years ago, he was absolutely demolishing, and he had a hit rate above 60%. For 14.5 rushing yards. So, yeah, we're definitely taking that. I believe Justin Outland is going to let Russell Wilson cook, going to let him do his own thing tonight in Seattle. Pass attempts, which is what I was alluding to originally here. I'm going to move my face so you guys don't have to. There you go. All right, so Russell Wilson, 33.5 pass attempts. And so here's the thing on his pass attempts. Seattle last season was facing around 41 pass attempts per game, okay? They were being thrown on like wild. Game script, 6.5-point favorites for Denver. We don't have a big pass-catching back. Melvin Gordon, I believe, is going to be the pass-catching back tonight, which is why I think you should take the over on his receiving yards, which I believe is like 9.5. Yeah, that'll be easy to settle, maybe even by halftime. And his completions, I believe his completions are, Melvin Gordon, that is, at around 1.5. Yeah, I'm taking the over on that, especially if Justin Outland is plans on using Javonte Williams in more of a workhorse role. I'm definitely in on Melvin Gordon getting that late game work, both in the air and on the ground, as I expect Denver to win, but I don't expect them to win by more than 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, we're definitely taking the rush attempts there. Last one on the over here, you guys, is Jerry Jeudy, 58.5 receiving yards. I want to take the over here. I was discussing the third-year leap for wide receivers. I think it's real. CeeDee Lamb proving that maybe it's not real last night. Not all his fault, though. Dak Prescott not having a great game either. At 58.5 receiving yards for Jerry Jeudy last season, he hit that at about a 50% rate, okay? But when he was on the road, he hit that rate 100% of the time. The guy did not miss. He was getting over 58.5 yards every time he was on the road last season, okay? I believe it was about 13 games that he played. Every game he played on the road, he had more than 58.5 receiving yards. Take the over, take the risk, and we are going to win some shmoney on Jerry Jeudy tonight. So, yeah, I'm leaning that there. Risky plays. We'll get to those in just a moment. Still want to recap some of the games from week 1, but we're going to talk about some risky plays. If I have betting money, then I'm putting money on some of these plays here, and we will discuss why in just a moment. So, just to give you a preview of what they are. Pass attempts for Russell Wilson at 2 right now. I'm still indifferent on that. Yeah, I believe Russ is going to be allowed to cook. He's also got Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon in the backfield. So if they are winning and if they are ahead, I am not so sure he's going to throw for more than 2 touchdowns. Let's go ahead and pull up his projections that I have for him on the season. And where's Russell Wilson? We've got him projected for number 7, QB7 on the year. Actually, that's a pretty good touchdown total right there. 40.6 touchdowns a game. Let's assume he's playing all 17 games this season, unless something happens. That means we've got him projected for about 2.4 passing touchdowns per game. That would put him at about, I expect him to throw 2 touchdowns, but he's only got about 40% chance of throwing a third one. So again, this is why it's risky. If you have the betting money, I say do it. Why take the over on a guy with the revenge game narrative going straight back to his former home team, former home field? He knows all the intricacies. He knows all the intricacies of Lumen Field. He knows where every blade of grass is on that field. I think he's going to be absolutely insane tonight. I think 14.5 rushing yards is kind of disrespectful, for being honest. Okay, I know he has Javonte, I know he has Melvin Gordon, but it just takes one freaking scramble for Russell Wilson to go 14.5 yards. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. Okay, what about Courtland Sutton? Courtland Sutton gives me a little bit of the jeebies. Here's why. Oh, and also right here, this receiving touchdown prop, stay away from it. Yeah. There's no way of guessing which guy here is going to take the touchdown, okay? If I have betting money and I can throw money at whatever I want, I'm taking Sutton. But as it stands, I am no millionaire. I am not touching this receiving touchdown right here. Okay, what about receiving yards? 63.5. Let's look at it here. Let's look at PFF, see what we've got for Courtland Sutton. Apparently I can't spell his name. And let's look at his hit rate for 63.5 yards last year. I believe I have that on. Yeah, I have that on here. All right, so it is a risky play, okay? 63.5 yards. He's only hit that 25% of the time last year, and he was 0% hit rate in the second half of the season, okay? From week 7 on, he did not garner more than 63.5 yards, albeit, don't forget, he was catching passes from Drew Lock, not future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson. So that's why I'm putting this in the risky column, because if you feel as if you want to burn some money away, yeah, then I got no problem with you betting on that, because I have him projected for 76 yards per season. Sorry, 76 yards per game this season. So, you know, in terms of if I'm going to self-reflect and say, if I have betting money, I'm putting 63.5 yards, I'm going over, okay? But remember, all of this was on the first half of the season. So you could spin it that way. You could say Sutton's great in the first half of the season last season. Maybe he's going to do it again this season. It's possible. It's possible. But the momentum says otherwise. He did not hit over 63.5 receiving yards in the second half of the season. Alan, what's going on, my man? Thanks for watching. Appreciate you stopping by. If you got any questions, start saying questions for me. I don't know when I play you, but I know I've got you in a league. So, yeah. Tell me any questions over week 1 here. So, let's look at, just to prove it to you guys, Courtland Sutton last season. Oh, those numbers are super small. Let me show it. Oh, yeah, let me zoom in for you guys. And I'll move my face so y'all can see that. All right. So, receiving yards. Yeah, let's do that. Shouldn't have done it that way. There we are. All right, receiving yards. Here he is. Courtland Sutton, 14 yards, week 1. Week 2, 159, hit. 37, missed. 47, miss. 120, hit. 111, hit. 68, flat. Nope. Okay, so, again, didn't hit 68.5 yards beyond that time frame, right? So this is a guy who started out hot and then just completely fell off. Could have been a Drew Lock thing, could have been a coaching thing, right? Head coach, OC, both gone. If you're going in for that fresh start narrative with a better quarterback, potentially a better offensive coordinator, I'm not sold on Justin Outten yet. But this right here, yeah, I would stay away from Courtland Sutton. Just, it's such a toss-up, you guys. Like 63.5, it seems so low for a number 1 receiver for Russell Wilson. But he doesn't have DK Metcalf anymore. He doesn't have Tyler Lockett anymore. If he had one of those guys on his team, I'd say yes. Now, there is a guy on this team that I absolutely want to play on DraftKings, and I absolutely want to play the over here on 32.5 yards, KJ Hamler. Okay, this is a guy that had great average depth of target during his time at Penn State. Want to show you guys what that A-dot was for him out there in Penn State, if I can get these parameters going. But KJ Hamler, coming off of an ACL tear last season, before his rookie season even got started. Poor guy had to basically miss the entire season. So he's kind of getting a little bit of a fresh start here in season 2, and he gets an automatic upgrade from Drew Lock to Russell Wilson. Okay, so I'm excited for KJ Hamler. This is a guy you need to put in your DFS lineups tonight. Not tomorrow, but tonight. So let's look him up. KJ Hamler here. NCAA. All right. Receiving yards. Also, this is a good time if you haven't, if you're here, if your coffee's tasting great, if your water, whiskey, wine, beer is tasting great, go ahead and drop a like and a follow there. So I can do the research for you guys. This is what I'm here for. All right, so let's look at Penn State. KJ Hamler. I know, different ball game. He's not in college anymore. I get it, but it's about his usage, right? Teams draft these guys based on their utility. What do they bring to the table? I'll tell you what KJ Hamler brings to the table. He brings a massive average depth of target of 14.6, okay, of every target. This is a deep threat guy here, okay, 13.5 average depth of target in 2018, and this is a guy who just got better as his seasons went on as well. Receiving yards, okay, multiple times you see him in the hundreds. What about under 35? Happened once his last season at Penn State. Sorry, that was actually his junior year. 2020. Oh yeah, 2019 was his senior year there. And then his junior year at Penn State, 67 yards, 40, 78, 41. Okay. This guy does not have 33.5 yards, 32.5 yards in his name. He's not used to it. He's allergic to 32.5 yards or lower. I would absolutely take the higher or over here on underdogs for KJ Hamler and for prize picks if that's out there as well. All right, guys, any start sit questions, go ahead and drop them in there. We are going to start going into the rest of the recap. All right, so we talked about the Dallas Cowboys. Hold on to Zeke. You're not gonna get him for anything valuable than what you spent on him, right? You probably spent what is equivalent to a second, maybe third round pick. So yeah, would not move off of Zeke right now just because everyone's gonna lowball you right now. Everybody and their mom is gonna lowball you, and you're not gonna like it. You're just gonna upset yourself. Tony Pollard might want to consider just holding. Maybe someone else sees it, but this guy Pollard, he's just been looking better than Ezekiel Elliott since even last year. So with the game script moving forward, and the Cowboys having the Bengals, the Giants, the Commanders, I actually think this is a trap game here. The Washington Commanders looked great yesterday. Carson Wentz looking like the 2017 Carson Wentz that we saw that led the Eagles to a Super Bowl before tearing his ACL and letting Nick Foles take over. And the Giants, this is the one where I see like Zeke absolutely just blowing off. Like, I think this is when you can sell Zeke, is at the Giants game. I think it'll be a tough sledding there in week 2 against Cincinnati Bengals. Los Angeles Rams, we saw that defense against the Bills on Thursday Night Football. That is not a defense that I would want to run against either. Philadelphia Eagles, renowned for having one of the best rushing defenses in the entire league. They were top half last year for sure. And the Detroit Lions, okay? I think this right here is the good stretch for Zeke. So, yeah, I'm trying to get off of him right now if you can get a good swap. So, just to throw some names out there right now, like for Ezekiel Elliott, would I trade him for Miles Sanders, who had a great outing yesterday, probably the best game in 2 years, Miles Sanders, that is? No, I would not. Miles Sanders was only in about 56% of the snaps yesterday for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, yes, he was insanely efficient, right? But he's not going to run at 7.3, 7.2 yards per carry every single game, okay? And he's definitely not going to score a touchdown every single game. Because that's just not what Miles Sanders does. That's not what we expect from Miles Sanders either. So let's look at the other games. Let me see the specific teams for yesterday's games. All right. So let's start. We talked about them. Yeah, let's talk about the Bucs as well here. So, all right. So Rachaad White did not have as much of a role as I thought that he would, especially in the passing game. This is a guy who was an absolute monster in the passing game at Arizona State. Okay. They drafted him in the 3rd round, thought that meant something on day 2. Absolutely not. They're going to run Leonard Fournette into the ground. And Leonard Fournette was extremely efficient. 6 yards a carry. Dallas Cowboys defense yesterday was like Swiss cheese. There were holes all over the place. Tom Brady doing what Tom Brady does. Didn't have an amazing game, but, only had 1 interception. Took care of the ball otherwise. That Buccaneers offensive line was about what we expected, okay, with the multiple injuries that they had to the center, to the guard, Tristan Wirfs as well. So that's exactly what I expected. We got some pressure back there, the Cowboys did, and nothing else right now. Godwin looks like he's going to be out for some time as well. So sorry for you all who were really happy about getting a discount on Chris Godwin, but maybe this is just a guy who, for some reason, just can't stay healthy. It's not his fault. He's not injury prone. I just don't think that he can stay healthy. I really don't. So, yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous here. Like Ezekiel Elliott getting, 10 carries. But this might be the new normal for them. But now you have to remember Dak Prescott no longer in the mix for the next 7 weeks. So we're going to see a lot of Tony Pollard. We're going to see a lot of Ezekiel Elliott. So if I am holding either one of these guys in redraft, I just write it out. Just write it out. Since you have Cincinnati and you have also the Giants coming up next. So it's like I'm not too worried about those two at all. So just hold on and just wait for their values to go up. And, I mean, you've already invested so much into Ezekiel Elliott that selling him off after week 1 is a horrible return on your investment of, a second, 3rd round pick on Ezekiel Elliott. So, yeah, you definitely don't want to lose out that quickly and then for him to bounce back going up against the Bengals and the New York Giants. Again, I would not trade him for anyone in the realm of Miles Sanders. Would I trade him for Josh Jacobs? That's a tough one. They're about the same, right? Both got about 10 carries. What I will say, the difference there is the share. The share of carries. So Ezekiel Elliott getting 10 of 18, that's about 55%. That would put him in the top 15 running backs. Josh Jacobs, on the other hand, had about a 70% rushing share with the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. So obviously Josh McDaniels not planning on running the ball a whole lot. Maybe that will change if they continue to lose. But I would prefer Josh Jacobs than Ezekiel Elliott right now. Josh Jacobs, the clear leader, the clear running back in charge of that backfield in Las Vegas, whereas Ezekiel Elliott, especially if Dak is not right, what if they tank? They might be running a whole lot more Tony Pollard out there, regardless of Zeke's contract situation. Don't follow the money. It doesn't always work out that way. They do not always give the ball to the man who makes the most money. We've seen that with Kenny Golladay. We saw that yesterday with Mike Williams. I don't know what happened there. Man had like 4 targets or less, and it just did not go his way. But with Keenan Allen, I believe with a hamstring injury, might bode well for Mike Williams and his owners moving forward. Oh, yeah, so the Buccaneers. Okay, let's focus a little bit more on them. Tom Brady, he is what he is. You drafted him at a discount because everyone believed that there's a chance that he might not be the same anymore. And I think that's what we saw last night. This is a not so intimidating Cowboys defense. So, and yet we still got an interception. I think that what you drafted Brady for is doing exactly what he's doing for you. You probably took him 9th, 10th, 11th round. And I believe, this is kind of what you're getting. 11 points. You're getting someone with, a floor, certainly a floor. about 12 points, but you're not getting someone with the upside of Kyler Murray. You're not getting anyone with the upside of Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. That's why you waited about 5 to 6 rounds. From the first round, you waited about 10 rounds, 11 rounds to take Tom Brady. So absolutely. Hey, Jack, thanks for stopping by, my man. Can you let me know how you feel about this trade? Dalvin Cook, T. Higgins, or Austin Eckler and Gabe Davis? Man, this is about as close as it gets. So what I do know is Austin Eckler, what we saw yesterday, is not the Austin Eckler that I expect to see for the rest of the season. Okay, so the Austin Eckler that I have for the rest of the season is supposed to be an absolute monster. And I believe that that's his backfield, no one else's. Why is this so zoomed in? As I was talking to Seth earlier, this is kind of a similar trade outcome because you're getting either Dalvin Cook or Austin Eckler in your running back spot, or T. Higgins. Okay, here's the thing with concussions. I'm going to take the Austin Eckler, Gabe Davis side. Okay, Josh Allen looking a whole lot better than Joe Burrow right now. I'm doing my best not to overreact. It's just Monday. I'm doing my best not to overreact because it's week 1. It's the Monday after week 1. But Gabe Davis looked nice. Target share wasn't as what everyone expected, right? You got kind of lucky to catch that touchdown. But I believe that's what you're investing when you have Gabe Davis, is you're banking on the fact that he can get you that touchdown for that game. Josh Allen feels like he's going to throw 3 touchdowns a game. Okay, we saw Dawson Knox's usage. I don't think he's going to be used that much. The backfield is, a dime a dozen. Those guys are all kind of just guys right now. I think James Cook at the end of the season will start to emerge as the lead rusher. Devin Singletary looks fine. He looks efficient. So what I'm getting at is I think Austin Eckler, especially with Keenan Allen potentially out next week. Jack, I'm taking, oh man, this is standard. I just realized I haven't played standard in a long time. I'll tell you why I'm still going Eckler and Davis. Davis gives you that touchdown upside. Eckler is giving you the volume upside. Okay. I have Eckler right now a lot lower than Dalvin Cook, but I think the fact that if you're able to get off of T. Higgins right now, who has a concussion, which a concussion injury is just so, it's so hard to predict where they're going to be depending on the results of the concussion protocol. And ultimately, that's decided by his own staff if he's going to be good to go. My first initial thoughts on a concussion is when I see that it is for sure a concussion, don't expect him to play next week. So this early on, I want to be able to have a good start to the season as well as going into the playoffs. But why would you want your wide receiver 2 to be automatically out and trade into that? So even though I believe that Cook and T. Higgins are the 2 better players, especially for this format in standard, I'm going to go Eckler and Davis, okay? I'm going to go Eckler and Davis. You are probably going to be able to flip Davis for something as well right now. It's going to be harder to flip T. Higgins. So if you have a chance to turn T. Higgins into Gabe Davis, I'm okay with that right now. Okay, concussion is finicky. Higgins could be out for 2 weeks. Could be out for, intermittently throughout the entire season. Could be in and out because of this concussion. It was not a pretty hit. Thanks for the question, Jack. Appreciate you stopping by. So yeah, Eckler, Davis, absolutely. And let me just show you, since we're on the topic of Gabe Davis, I'm kind of all over the place right now. These rankings you can find for $1 in the Patreon, which is in the description below. Shameless plug there, shameless plug. But if you join the Discord, which is also in my Twitter, which is also in the description, you can get these for free. It's a little secret. If you join the Discord, rankings are absolutely free. Absolutely, Jack. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you soon. And, grab your favorite beverage. Kickoff is about 15 minutes away. Austin Ekeler, Gabe Davis, absolutely. Let's look for Davis on my rankings. These are all homemade, hand-cooked, hand-woven, made with love projections based on target share, projected target share, as you can see here. That's where everything here is based off of. It's based off my target share and what I believe based on how quarterbacks utilize certain types of players. So a lot of thought and projection goes into these target shares. I think I'm a little lower on Davis than most people, okay? But in a standard league, you really need that upside of a touchdown, right? So I've got him projected for 18% target share for the rest of the season. This is for the whole season. These were made before the season even started. And I've got him projected for 6 touchdowns. And these are half PPR and full PPR rankings right here. So this one would be more up your alley, Jack. So, yeah, I think Austin Ekeler, this is a buy low window. To me, this is not. I don't even plan on spending time on Austin Ekeler as a buy low candidate. But that's just the nature of it. He absolutely is. He did not perform like he normally would. And this offense, as you can see yesterday, is only getting better. As Justin Herbert improves, this entire offense is going to be better. Keenan Allen getting hurt. I mean, Austin Ekeler and Mike Williams are going to absolutely have to show out. And I believe Justin Herbert's only going to get better as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Ekeler, Gabe Davis, I'm in. I will finally hop off of that topic. But I just get so excited for these trade questions. Love trade questions. By the way, in the Discord, we do have a trade discussion, a trade channel for all of your trade needs. On the topic of the Chargers, let's go ahead and just recap this game real quick. I am not going to be able to get to all these games because as your boy is a fantasy degenerate just like you. So, yes, I will be watching this game here in just a few minutes. But let's talk Raiders-Chargers. And, man, Derek Carr, that connection with Devontae Adams is absolutely insane. It almost makes you think if Devontae Adams the reason that Aaron Rodgers is so damn good? And we see Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams just absolutely struggling. I mean, he looked like he wanted to strangle all of the wide receivers on his sideline yesterday. Romeo Doubs, the rookie, 4 or 5 targets, not able to get it done. Christian Watson, homeboy dropped like a 65, 70-yard touchdown pass yesterday. Like, what? It's just not what Aaron Rodgers is used to. Randall Cobb, who was, for me, he was a guy that I thought was going to get a lot of usage yesterday, just based on the fact that Allen Lazard was out. And Rodgers is not typically keen on targeting rookie wide receivers during the regular season. So, Randall Cobb really, really crapped the bed yesterday and was not super excited about that either. So, Josh Jacobs, I'm not worried about him right now. Not yet. Again, he rushed for 10 of the 13 carries in this Raiders offense yesterday. To me, that means if they're going to run the ball, it's going to be Josh Jacobs. Okay? I know that he didn't catch the touchdown pass that Brandon Bolden did. Josh Jacobs, of course, is notoriously going to be an RB2 for you. And I think if that's, if you drafted him, you drafted him just like you draft David Montgomery. He's your RB2. He's not going to be your workhorse. So this is kind of what you're getting, just like Brady, you're kind of getting that floor of, high single digits for Josh Jacobs. And if he scores a touchdown, then sure, he might get you to 15, 16 points per fantasy matchup. And we're okay with that. And I'm okay with the fact that if he is my second or third best running back, hey, at least he's, at least his rushing share is respectable, right? So going back to shares of opportunity. It's really important to make sure that we target these players that are going to be overutilized in their respective offenses. So Devontae Adams, 17 targets. He's not going to maintain a 50% target share for the rest of the season. But at least he's got these types of games in him, even with David Carr and not Aaron Rodgers. A.J. Brown, same thing, right? We know he's not going to have a 45% target share for the remainder of the season, but I do have him projected for a target share of about, 22.5, right? So about half of what we saw yesterday. But these are the types of ceilings that these guys can get you. Kyle Phillips, is this a thing, right? Is this something that we're buying into? I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, nine targets is not something to slouch on, not something to stuff under the rug. I think if you earn 9 targets, it's probably a good reason for that. I think Ryan Tannehill likes him some Kyle Phillips. So, yeah, he's going to be a waiver wire grab, especially in full PPR leagues. Half PPR, maybe not so excited. In half PPR, I'll still be looking for Treylon Burks as the best option in that offense as a pass catcher, at least. Of course, Derrick Henry, I still expect him to be the man in Tennessee. So what I was getting at is Josh Jacobs, having like 70+ rushing share in that Raiders offense. I'll happily take that to the bank, whether it looks good or not. It just means that moving forward, if he's going to have 60 to 7% of the rushes, and let's say they're in the lead, and it's not a super close game, there's going to be a lot of shootouts in this division. So, sure, there's a chance that Josh Jacobs could be like this for the rest of the season. There's also a chance where it's in the realm of possibilities where the Raiders start winning some games in this division, start winning some games in non-divisional games, and they're going to use Josh Jacobs and run him into the ground until it's time for his contract to expire, and he walks out. Next man up, Zamir White, next year. And I think that's how the Raiders plan on using Josh Jacobs, okay? So we're not going to be able to get to all of these games. I'm going to have to turn the recap probably into more of a podcast. So I'll get that recap out for you guys early this week, hopefully in the next few days here. Want to recap how you can make some money tonight on Underdog. Russell Wilson, take the over on his 255.5 passing yards. Seattle allowed the most passing yards. Second most passing yards in 2021. Didn't really add a whole lot to that secondary to defend the pass. They added Tariq Woolen, kid out of UTSA, absolutely insane athletic freak. But it'll take some time for him to get on the field. Otherwise, that pass rush is still not that scary. Secondary, still not all that intimidating. I expect Russ to cook tonight, and I expect him to also hit the over on his rushing prop of 14.5 yards. Okay? And Russell Wilson, take that 33.5 pass attempts and, take that money to the bank. Jerry Jeudy. This is the Denver wide receiver. I know it's contrary to popular belief, but hey, that's the only way to win, right? You got to be contrary to the popular belief. And Courtland Sutton right now is kind of going as that number one receiver. At least everyone thinks so. Whereas for me, Jerry Jeudy being that third-year wide receiver, I expect him to be the number one receiver, and I expect him to hit easily over 58.5 yards. Last year, he had a 50% hit rate of 58.5 receiving yards throughout his season for 13 games. And on the road, 100% of the time, Jerry Jeudy hit over 58.5 yards. Some other risky plays if you feel like getting rid of some money with a decent return of investment. Russell Wilson passing touchdowns at 2. I'm having projected for about 2 touchdowns and a 40% chance of throwing a third one. So personally, for me, I would not be touching that prop bet. But if you have betting money, go ahead and throw it in there on the over for Russell Wilson. Watch him cook the Seattle defense tonight. Anything Denver running backs, I am not touching any of them. I think it's extremely risky. Let's wait and see how Justin Alton, the new offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, is going to utilize this backfield. I would not be surprised if this is a Javonte Williams breaking out party where he's going to have more of an 80-20 split. This is a brand new offensive coordinator. Okay? If I'm a brand new teacher in a classroom, or if I'm a brand new coach in a running back room, I'm picking out the best guy in that room and I'm feeding him the ball until we win. And if we don't win, I'm changing it up. But for now, week 1, Denver Broncos up against the Seattle Seahawks, and they got to support Russell Wilson to go ahead and beat his former teammate. I think that if anyone has a chance of hitting overs as far as running backs in this game, it is Javonte Williams. I did talk about Melvin Gordon as well. I think he's easily going to hit his prop bets for receiving props. So let me move that up here. So 1.5 receptions. I think that's going to be easy for Gordon to hit. I think he can catch 2 receptions tonight. And I think he only needs 1 reception to really get over 9.5 receiving yards. So that's what we're looking at. Last one here, Cortland Sutton. I would stay away from this personally, but if you got some betting money and you want to throw in a 4th leg to your parlay, 63.5 receiving yards. He hit that on a 25% hit rate last season, but 0% hit rate after week 7. So had a very strong start to the season last year and then ended very poorly, and he was not hitting 63.5 yards. So that just about does it for tonight. You all, appreciate you all stopping by, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I expect to look out for a podcast here on a recap for week 1. And I also expect, to drop a column and a short podcast on buy low candidates and also winners and losers. All right. No overreaction Monday today right now. Wanted to make sure I got this done. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thanks for the questions, Seth and Jack. And